first.
How was practice this week?
Okay. It was a great week. Yeah, really good week of practice, especially today. It was a beautiful day for one, but the guys had really good energy, executed well. You can tell they're ready to play.
Coach Doeren, the explosive play by Concepcion to then be finished off by the 20-yard touchdown pass to Gray by Armstrong. How important was that drive as far as setting the tone in that game against Wake Forest?
Yeah, it helps, you know, when you can get a lead and particularly build confidence early, it helps. And I think, you know, for our defense to be able to play with a lead is nice for them. They haven't had that a ton, and particularly we got up 2 scores and then 3 scores. You know, it changes what you're defending at that point. And so I don't expect that in this game. You know, I think it's going to be a hard-fought 4-quarter game. But in that game, that was huge, you know, to be able to do that. And that was the key to winning that game, was to be able to have 3 and outs on defense and long drives on offense because of the way that they run their system at Wake. This is a different opponent. So obviously, you know, 2 teams that really, really tough on the line of scrimmage. I think it's evenly matched. Like, I think we have 30 sacks. They have 31. We've given up 22. We've given up 21. You know, yards per carry. Our defensive rushing stats against theirs. It's going to be an old-fashioned football game, man. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, both teams are coming playing really well too. They're peaking right now.
Yeah, they've played well. Played really well last week, you know, against Boston College. So, and it's senior day, and their crowd's going to be awesome. So it's going to be a great environment. Our team's excited about it.
Dave, what does it make? You know, by my count, your defense has only in ACC games given up 9 touchdowns all year. What is it that makes your defense special, and especially going to a game like this?
Well, it's our defense, and I think Tony does a great job. Coach Gibson with the guys, his position coaches do a great job for him. We play 11-man football over there. Those guys play hard for each other. They execute, they understand. He does a great job, I think, of building off of looks and disguising things and showing things from one side, coming from another, and then bailing out and changing calls when he needs to. And, you know, we've been in this system now for 3 years, and I think there's a lot of reps banked too, which helps, you know. But they are playing really well, and 2 more weeks here in the regular season. Love to see them finish it.
How have you seen him kind of grow as a coach just over these last few years, and the guys that he's been able to develop?
Coach Gibson? Well, I think, you know, you become a coordinator, and then the guys are starting to get to know your personality, and then, you know, he's recruited some of these guys here now too. You know, he inherited what was here and then groomed those guys like Peyton, and then added guys like Bishop and Red. And so, you know, I think you put your brand on it, you know, the longer you're out of school, and he's done a great job with that. And like I said, there's really good continuity on the defensive staff too. Those guys have been together this entire time, and so they can finish each other's sentences in that room, and that's very helpful as a play caller to know that those guys know kind of what's going on in your head and what you're going to be doing next, and they're thinking ahead for you sometimes. You know, hey, that last time he did this, he's probably going here, and so they can help him in their position rooms differently maybe than if you're a first-year coach in a system.
Speaking of Peyton, recently named a semifinalist for the Nagurski. Just how much pride do you have in him and just what he's accomplished here?
Yeah, I mean, everything that he's listed on, he has earned, and it's, you can see the stats don't lie. And thankful, you know, Annabelle and our marketing team have done a great job telling his story and getting all that out there. Definitely, people know who he is now, and what he's done isn't just the best that you've seen at NC State. His numbers are better than anyone's in the country. So this is a national player that's played against really good talent this season. You know, we've played against a bunch of top-ranked teams, and he's played really well against Notre Dame, played really well against Louisville. You know, these teams that are ranked high, played really well against Clemson, played really well, you know, against Miami. And so not only has he done it, he's done it against teams that are top 20 teams. And so he deserves where he's at, and I hope that the voters put him in first place on some of these things. It's been a great story too, you know, the things he's had to endure and overcome injury-wise. Yeah, nobody's more deserving than him.
Anything that we don't know about Peyton, or anything that still surprises you about him?
I don't know. You guys have heard a lot of them. You know, I think probably the biggest thing that I've seen change is just how he leads. And I don't know if he's talked about this or not, but his biggest fear was public speaking. You know, I mean, it scared him to death, and now he's very good at it. You know, so he's grown a lot in that area of his life as well, and that comes through confidence and repetition.
Coach, yesterday we got a chance to talk to Joe Shimko
Yeah.
and some of the work he does with Gigi's Playhouse. What does it mean to you to have a player on your team that giving back means so much to?
Yeah, I mean, they fundraised a lot of money for Gigi's, and for a college age person, we're talking 30,000, 35,000. What a difference maker, you know. His legacy is a long snapper. You know, people don't notice him, and that's great because that means he's really good. But he's noticed in the community, and he's changed lives in our community for 2 years, and so that will be felt in Raleigh for a long, long time. Super proud of Joe.
Kind of piggybacking off of Charlie's earlier question, you've made defense cool in an era where you probably cringe at any rules change because you know the rules never help the defense.
It's challenging, you know, with the RPOs, linemen downfield, the way that sometimes officiating goes with touching, you know, guys in coverage, and it is hard. And the strike zone's gotten smaller and smaller. I saw a really cool graphic about Terry Bradshaw yesterday, just about how, you know, his career and how many plays he played and how many snaps and wins. And by the way, there was no roughing the passer. By the way, there was no strike zone. There was no targeting. And it's just like, yeah, okay, you know. And so things are harder on defense right now. Like Savion got called for roughing the passer, which would have been probably called a wimpy hit back in the day. You know, back then, the guys would clothesline quarterbacks. And so, yeah, it's changed a lot. And I don't know. This is a place you want to come and play defense. Like, this system it's aggressive, it's multiple, it's productive. The stats don't lie, and the kids have fun in it. You know, the kids are flying around having a good time.
We talked to Caden Fordham earlier this week, and he was talking about how much Peyton's been helpful for him.
Yeah.
In addition to everything Peyton's doing on the field, just how helpful has he been in preparing the future of this program as well?
That's something you want your players to do, you know, your legacy and handing the torch down. You go back to Isaiah Moore, Drake Thomas, Peyton Wilson, now handing it down, Caden, and the guys that come underneath them, you know, Kamel Bonner, Calvon McBride, and there's some kids coming in I can't talk about, but that's their responsibility, is to set a standard in their room and make sure that that standard doesn't drop when they leave. We had that for a long time in the receiver room, you know, and that's something I want to get back. You know, when we had Steph Lewis handing that thing down, Jacoby Myers, Kelvin Harmon, you know, Emeka Emezi, Devin Carter, you know, and so that standard of what that room should be, in each year you want that thing to go down to the next guy, and then that guy has to hold up his end of the bargain. And so that's something you take a lot of pride in as a player. You know, that's something a coach can't make happen. Players have to really make that happen in the rooms. And so, yeah, in the linebacker room that's happening. I know our defensive line is doing a good job of that right now as well, and you can see that.
With the high school playoffs going on, I mean, it's crazy to think KC a year ago was playing in playoffs.
Yeah.
But you got thousands of kids in the state embarking on maybe their last football game.
Right.
Maybe they end up like KC and become a big star as a freshman. But what, you know, you obviously have children going through, your son is going through it yourself. I mean, what is that like at this time of the year?
Yeah, the playoffs are awesome for, you know, and then your seniors, man, each game could be their last game. Some of them their last game ever, because they won't play in college. And so it's super meaningful for those young men. And you're right, you know, 12 months later, you don't know what your freshman year. You may be a redshirt if you're playing in college. You could have an unfortunate injury, or you could be a freshman All-American. Like, you don't know. The journey is different for every guy, and that's the one thing I would say. And stars don't dictate the journey either, you know. There's 2-star kids that play really early. There's 5-star kids that don't, and vice versa. And sometimes people get caught up in these rankings. The transition from high school to college, whether it's academics or athletics, is way different than people understand. And some guys can make that transition seamlessly, like KC is, and some guys can't. And that's okay. You know, it's just each guy's got to understand the comparison game. It's the thief of all joy. You got to kind of take your journey as your journey, and one day at a time. I hope that we get some more guys coming in here that want to play early, like KC. Like, you know, I mean, this is a place where you can make a difference, and our systems allow you to play that way.
What has it been like for you to see Dakari Collins' emergence
Yeah.
in the last couple of weeks?
You know, Dakari and Anthony Smith are 2 guys I talked to the team about. I think they were at the bottom and worked, and just kept grinding and letting us coach them. Didn't pout, didn't complain. And because of that, now they're playing a ton, and Dakari's playing a lot, and very proud of him. And it's just, you gotta stay on these guys just to, now that you've gotten the reps, you can't forget how you got them. You can't now relax. And so it's a great story, of a guy that transferred in, expected things to be a certain way, and quickly found out, now I gotta earn it here. And to his credit, he's dug in, and he's taken a bunch of criticism, constructively from us, demanding, holding him to a standard we felt like he could live up to, and he is now. And so he's benefiting, and so are we, from that partnership.
Coach Doeren, you mentioned the similarities between your program and Virginia Tech as far as the football-minded standpoint, blue collar, go to work every day. How excited are you for your team to go into what's going to be another great atmosphere with it being their senior day and pick up one last road win in the ACC?
Yeah, it's going to be a great challenge and great opportunity, and incredible respect for the program that Coach Beamer built, and that respect for Brent and how he's picked it back up. I know he's emulating a lot of the things Coach Beamer instilled in that program. As a young coach, watching what Coach Beamer did on special teams in college football, he was a groundbreaking coach when it came to how he attacked people in that area. And I've always been somebody that loves attacking the punt team, the rushing punts and attacking punters. And so he was a coach in my life that, even though he didn't know this, I was like, wow, look at what this guy's doing in football on special teams. He's changing the game. And so studied a lot of Virginia Tech film as a young coach, have great respect for them. And then watching their offense go from, pretty old school, and then Michael Vick, like changes college football and offense in a way with what he did. And so it's a program that I have great respect for. Their fan base, the way that they support their team, the way that they make that stadium feel on game day. It's going to be fun, and our players are really excited to be a part of that.
Just
One more. Oh, go ahead, Jay.
Devon Betty and Raheem Ashford both have newborns this year.
Yeah.
What kind of growth have you seen from them as people since their kids were born?
Rock's, this is his second, and so really haven't seen a change in him that way. He's been dealing with the injuries on top of that, and so man, what a tough year for him. And I feel so empathetic, for what Rock's going through, not because of the birth of his second child, but because of the injuries in his last year of college football. Betty, complete change in lifestyle, right? Like his fatherhood has been a big deal for him, and he was never a guy that was kind of out social and all that. He's always been mature, but I think the gratitude he has for life different now, perspective different. Tell this to all my players that are about to have children. The first time you hold your child for the first time, your first child in particular, the whole world stops spinning in that split second as you look at your child for that minute or second. Feels like a long time, but everything about the world changes when you hold your child for the first time. And so I always tell them that, like, man, make sure in that minute you just stop and really reflect. And I know he did. We had a really cool conversation after that. But yeah, it's cool being a part of their journey, and helping them, and they both handled it the way you would hope they would. Yeah, thank you guys.